Pardon the lateness. Doggone mechanic. A little longer than was originally scheduled. But give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Alahym in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. And we pick this up in the 5th chapter of John, 39th verse. So search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. Receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Alahym in you. I come in my Abba's name, you receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not honor that comes from Alahym only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my word? Shalom, man. Proverbs 26 and 10. 26 and 10. I remember that was going 17 belt pop. I knew that hole was going to pop. They were hoping he wasn't going to pop so I could get him to change that compressor. The Volkswagen had other plans in mind. Proverbs 26 and 10. Great Alahym, that form translates to cool, which translates to rive or to bring forth, anguish, travail, all of those things of that sort. Himself being pained and in anguish, trembling and travail, to bring sons, if you will, more specifically, you rotten whore. Sons, more specifically. Discuss that, brought back to mind something that we done discussed before of how he, maybe we'll elucidate verse. You could pick it up at 15. I don't really need verse 15, but it is what it is at this juncture. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. It shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In sorrow you shall bring forth children. Your desire should be to your husband will rule over you. You could take that second part in regards to Yahusha, that his desire would be to his master, his ruler, which would be his father, and he will over him. That's why he told you his in regard, and Isaiah 66 in regards to him being in pain, as forth as bringing forth sons. Of course, that pain that he was in was him being crucified and nailed on a tree. I want you to come back over here to 1 Timothy chapter 2, because now we have to look at the second half of this verse. In the second half of that verse, in Proverbs 26 and 10, which we will not spend an excessive amount of time on, I can tell you that, is him rewarding the fool and the transgressor. What a lot of people don't realize or understand is that this man will come and see you. He has no problems coming to see you. And what you're getting paid with is what you earned. See, a lot of individuals don't like to hear that in that regard, is that you get back what you have earned. You still have some things to go over in Job 37. I'm trying to look and see which proverb verse that I'm going to switch to after this. We've already done it. I had 4 set up, and I've already picked 2. So I have 2 more remaining. But let's continue. First Timothy 2, right? You can pick it up at verse 13. For Adam was first formed, then Eve. Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing, if they continue in faith, charity, holiness with sobriety. Remember, we talked about that. You got faith, you got love, you got being sanctified, and you got having self-control. To you that he has not done to himself first. We stopped and looked at John 17 and 17. Sanctify them with your truth. Your word is truth, and I've sanctified myself by the truth. Love have no man than this, that a man lay his life down for his friends. He so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that none should perish. You want your faith? Well, let's take a look at faith. That is just what I feel like sharing. John chapter 12. Because understand, being saved in childbearing in this regard is your reward. Because your reward or your payment for your wages is coming from the Son. Now I did well in verse 27. My soul troubled, what shall I say? Abba, save me from this hour, but for this cause came I unto this hour. Abba, esteem your name. Then there came a voice from Alahym saying, I have both esteemed it and will esteem it again. The people therefore that stood by and heard it said that it thundered, and Alahym spake to him. Yahushua answered and said, this voice came not because of me, but for your sakes. Now is the judgment of this world. Now shall the prince of this world be cast out. And if I should die. Now, of course, and we also persist in John 10. We already know. Therefore, do my Abba love me because I lay down my life that I might take it again. No man take it from me, but I lay it down of myself. I have power to lay it down. I have power to take it again. This commandment have I received of my Abba. Now, see, I wasn't going to read this here. Well, when it came to my mind on Wednesday, I said, no, I ain't going to do it. But now it came back to mind, so now I'm going to do it. Now, look at it, right? He says lay his life down of himself. I want you to come over here to Genesis chapter 27. Genesis chapter 27. Genesis 29 that I desire. Shalom, man. It's Genesis 29 that I desire. You could kiss Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother, beat him and embraced him. We need to pause. If you know, you already know that the law say you are what? Flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone, when Adam went to referring to Eve. And if you're even more astute, you know that the people came to David and told him that they were his bone and his flesh. And if you're even more astute, you know that Yahushua told his apostles that a spirit don't have flesh and bone as you see me have. Why is one from another? Or they're a cod, if you will. If you see past what's in front of you and look to have the insight and understanding that is required for us to walk in the way of everlasting salvation, which brings joy to the hearts of all those that hear it. So when you understand that, he that flesh and bone decides that I am going to give you my daughter, your mind should begin to shift. Because, you know, we've already talked that Yahushua and Yahuwah are one and the same. Because you'll have people say, well, how can the son marry the father's wife? That's sin. And I could understand why people would think that. We would not begrudge or besmirch anyone for that thought process. It's an understandable thought process. You do not see that Yahuwah and Yahushua are one and the same. Because in this regard, the daughter of Zion would be the daughter of his Abba. But let's move on before we begin to go into many, many different places that are not suitable for this conversation at this particular time. Let's read verse 15. Laban said unto Jacob, because you are my brother, should you therefore serve me for naught? Tell me, what shall your wages be? Laban had two daughters. The name of the elder was Leah. The name of the younger was Rachel. Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful and well-favored. Jacob loved Rachel and said, I will serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. And he said, it is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to another man. Abide with me. That's exactly how you can look at it, right? The text tell you that Yahuwah loved. Why would he give her to anyone else? Why give her to Dagon? Why give her to Baal? Why give her to any of these people? See, the thing and you know, I see things from time to time. And just like we discussed on Wednesday, and I've said to you in the past, anytime that that particular specific subject matter is arose, no one will ever love us like the living Alahym loves us. Because his standard of love does not equal the love that they want. See, a lot of people say you have to love me how I want. This is what he's told you. That's all that you owe. He has to tell you for many people, mainly for Black people, Black women specifically, because of the society of which they are reared, which has a large influence on their mindset. So it has nothing to do with women specifically. It's just how they're raised in the society that they dwell. The kind of dismantling. And that was funny because what you're looking for is you're looking for men to look at a woman and see her as your equal. You're looking for her to be your partner. No man on earth is looking or desiring a woman to be his partner. Now, when I say man, I'm not talking about someone of the male gender. I'm talking about someone who is a man. A man is not looking for a partner because a man would already have something going on for that woman to join into. Partners are equal. They share equal footing. No man is looking for a partner. He has no need for one. I told you a while back, a sister I know, she got upset. She says, kept saying this here. Truth be told, a man does not need a woman. Men want women. Then there's a difference. You find yourself as a man needing a woman. If you find yourself as a man needing a woman, you're in a very bad mental state, in a mental and emotional state. Very bad. Reason why I say that, we need Alahym. There's a difference. There's things that we give unto a woman that she cannot generate on her own. There's nothing that a woman can generate that you need. There, and you think about that in your own mind. There's absolutely nothing that she can generate that you actually need. You need to pay attention to the definition of the word need. You do not need anything that she has because she doesn't add to you in that capacity. That's propaganda from a matriarchal level to him. What need told you that? Matter of fact, let me just show you that in the text. Come over here to Psalms 50. See, it sounds harsh and it sounds like, oh, these people, they hate women and this, that, there, and the third. Absolutely not. If you got that from that, Psalms 50 and 7. Psalms 50 and 7. If you get that from that, it's because you're thinking emotionally and you're not thinking of, and because if you think that Alahym or anyone who of Alahym women, then clearly you don't know Yahushua because his actions show you definitely different from that. And that's showing love to a woman who didn't deserve it. Does not deserve it. That woman being Yasharal. Because we already know that. Good grief. We already know that you're supposed to lay your life down for your wife. I just told you the other day, voluntary time, she goes into labor, she could die. And as we discussed on Wednesday, deliverance in child rearing is because love, kadoshness, and sobriety of the son of the living Alahym. That's why she's saved in childbearing, whether she's a sinner or not. That's the love of Alahym every time that happens. Isaiah 42 before I read that Psalms 50, just how I said that on general principles. Isaiah 42, man, let me read that there, man. How to do it. People giving this man esteem and honor to another ought to be jack slapped and kicked square in their butthole and bust upside the back of their head with a baseball bat, aluminum preferably. Isaiah 42 and 1. Behold, my servant whom I uphold, my elect, and whom my soul delight. I have put my rule, whose reed shall he not break, and the smoking flax shall he not quench, until he bring forth judgment unto truth. He shall not fail nor be discouraged, till he have set judgment in the earth, and the isle shall wait for the earth, and that which come out of it, that give breath unto the people upon it, and the ruach to them that walk therein, to open the blind eyes, to bring out the prisoners from the prison. See, now he's telling you about stinking whore. See, he tells you about the resurrection of the dead right there, if you pay attention, where he switched. Number one, when he said, I give you for the covenant of the people, he told you that he'd offer his son up for sacrifice. Because you know a covenant is of no effect while the testator appears in prison or the grave. He's telling you how he's going to resurrect you from the grave. Look at his name. If you think I'm going to give my esteem and honor to another, why you think women get jealous when her man go put another seed in another woman? Why do you think that happens? Now, of course, whether you are of the mindset or a man to make a woman the mother of his children. See, it's what's the word? Like that before the word. I didn't need nobody to come tell me you shouldn't do that. Common sense tell me don't put my seed in a woman I don't like. Because she look good, nigga, that's the epitome of an idiot. You know what I'm talking about? And see, this is the thing, because we were talking about it earlier. Because women always, at least women on my page, they always believe that women get besmirched for being single mothers, but fathers don't. Because every man I see, most y'all don't have them problems. Now you might feel like your problem with your woman is bad, but y'all don't have them problems. Because most of y'all ain't got no seed. Probably maybe two of y'all ain't got no seed from a woman who would make you snatch your hair out or make you go bald or take 5 to 10 years off your life because of the level of stress that she gives you just because she's angry and bitter. Most of y'all don't have that witness and testimony. Y'all to thank the Lord. Just most of these women, y'all don't got no witness or testimony that you got turned, probably saved for a few of you, from a man who ain't gonna take care of. Sometimes we can forget that because they're saying, person I behold the 50. Just let that be known. That man ain't giving his esteem to another person. Y'all need to stop. Be mad. It'd be funny too. Because niggas be on the African spirituality. See, niggas run the African spirituality because they worship women. You can do what you want. Everybody, that book, they had us believing in the book. You wicked bastard Jew. A lot of men, I ain't gonna tell you no lie, man. If you would gave me the opportunity on the last day, I spit in their face. I ain't being funny or nothing. I'm dead serious. I spit dead in their face. You disrespectful punk bastard. Dishonor my family. I would spit in your face. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how y'all feel. That's how I see that though. I would spit dead in your face. I ain't talking about no randomly walking around. I'm talking about in their face. Because that's how I see you, boy. You are less than yesterday's trash. You disrespectful, scoffing, mocking bastard. You are not worth the air that you breathe. And now your judgment awaits you. And it ain't got nothing to do with their conduct or behavior. I ain't even talking about that. I'm talking about the utter and blatant disrespect. Alahym and your Redeemer who sits at his right hand, boy, that's your family, yo. They disrespecting your household. That's why David said, although he say all those who hate you. That statement in Chronicles that all Christian people like to mention, don't touch. Let that be known, man. He take that as disrespect from under heaven for the stunt that they pulled. Respect his wife and sons. Some of y'all might not see it that way because you might not have that level of for your father. So if someone disrespected your father, that might not offend you that bad. Individual will feel like, oh nah, bro, you better watch your mouth, cuz. So we fade niggas over here for that. Nevertheless, let me digress. Psalm 50 and 7, man. Hear, my people, I will speak. O Yasharal, I will testify against you. I am Alahym, even your Alahym. I will not reprove you for sacrifices or your burnt offerings to have been continually before me. I will take no bullock out of your house, nor he goes out of your folds. For every beast of the forest, for the world is mine and the fullness thereof. Will I eat the flesh of bulls or drink the blood of and call upon me in the day of trouble, and I will deliver you, and you shall esteem me. Of course, we can correlate verses 14 and 15 to Mashiach because he definitely offered thanksgiving to Alahym upon him in the day of trouble, and he definitely delivered him, and he definitely esteemed him. But the point was that is he's letting Yasharal know that I don't need nothing from you. I don't need anything from you. Nothing. If you're thinking with the mind frame of a man, especially if you're a man who has a mindset of because those things don't go together. We talked about that before when Mashiach was distressed and he went up on the board. It's just not. You know what I'm saying? And it is more emotionally fragile than women. Talking about a man to still be hurt from a girl who broke his heart when he was 21. That just was a fallacy to see someone say that a man is more emotionally weak than women when women are not made that way. Women think that they're equal or greater to a man. Why do I say that? Because now people think they are equal or greater to Alahym. Do you not see people walking around here talking about they God and they manifesting and all this other stuff? I see people out here saying they God and they can manifest reality and all these other things that people talking about. At this point, that junk got to be YouTube or something. Who knows? But you got to pay attention to that because what you see in life is how people feel towards Alahym. It may not seem that way. It may not seem that way, but that's what that is. Because again, anything that I'm saying, it's tied to the word. It's just not about a natural gender. Yeah, you can see that manifested for the world, male or female, goes out Alahym. They're doing the same thing. They're doing the same thing. And they're leaning on something that is not meant to be leaned on. Peace. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you want to pay attention and listen to what I'm saying on the natural side and be offended, then get your cow behind from up off of here because I ain't got no time for you because I got some more ways to offend you. So just be patient for us. Our people in a deplorable state. And we're in a deplorable state because nobody wants to deal with what is actually occurring. Now, the harshness of reality will hit you dead in your jaw on the onset, but the compassion of the solution, you have to get past the fact that your feelings were hurt. So you can't get to the compassion that's contained in the solution. It rewards the fool and the transgressor because they hate the fact that they are being corrected. Remember, Yahushua told the people that the world cannot hate. Remember, evil is rock. That's disagreeable to Alahym. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it, but you're going to answer for it. And if the natural women are disagreeable to Alahym, that is indicative that everyone upon the face is disagreeable to the man, excuse me. That means everyone on the earth is disagreeable to Alahym because how the woman views the man is how the world views Alahym. Nobody really wants to see it that way because they hate Alahym. So if you're thinking we having gender wars and things of that nature, then you probably have low grade intelligence and probably failed many classes and went to school on a bus that was not a full length and had classes with no windows. Intended them to. Still on that. We can't begin to walk in the way that Alahym intended us to out of Yahuwah. Yes, up against the wall. You know what I'm saying? And individuals, they'll come with shame, insults, and the guilt. That junk don't affect me because I just generally don't care. You know what I'm saying? Again, are we here to please men or to please Alahym? Now, if you want to be better, it does not matter to you. But let's go back to Genesis 35, if you would. We finished with Genesis 29 in that regard of Jacob loving Rachel. When you look at Jacob loving Rachel, you know, especially when you look at it from a spiritual sense, aka from the word of he, it's not being in love with someone. It's not an emotional attachment. That's what being in love is. It's setting your love upon someone. Genesis 35 and 16. And that's something totally different because that love will be defined. And we know that the love of Alahym is defined. Matter of fact, let me read this for John chapter 4. Come on over here first. See, that love is defined. Alahym has defined it. And if you desire to see the manifestation of that definition, then you know you can read 1 Corinthians chapter 13 on your own time. We went under an inordinate amount of time on that this evening because I believe, and again, it's still part into the love of why the woman will be saved and childbearing because this is the love that Yahushua manifested, for he was saved in childbearing. Now, for both those of you who are astute, and especially some of our young ladies, because I know at least of one who is very astute in this regard in dealing with Rachel. I'll know what happened with Rachel when she went through childbirth. So therefore, we will look at that from a different avenue and perspective, and go from there. So 1 John chapter 4 and verse 7. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of Alahym. Everyone that love is of Alahym and know Alahym. He that loves Son into the world, that we might live through him. Here is love, not that we love Alahym, but that he loved us and sent his Son to be the propitiation for our sins. Beloved, if Alahym so loved us, we ought also to love one another. No man have seen Alahym at any time. He has given us of his Ruach, and we have seen and do testify that Abba sent the Son to be the Savior of the world. Whosoever shall confess that Yahushua is the Son of Alahym, Alahym dwell in him, and he in Alahym. And we have known and believed the love that Allah made perfect, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world. Now, pause. The simplistic way of most individuals look at, we keep the commandments as love. But see, we're going past that. That's why I told you to go read 1 Corinthians chapter 13 on your own time. Because he said love is not unseemly. He said love, there's a multitude of examples in that regard. Stated in here is the Ruach of Alahym. And 4. 1 Corinthians 13 and 4. Love suffer long. So we talk about long suffering. We know that Yahushua exhibited long suffering. Chapter 3 is your example of that. Luke 23 is your example of that. So that the attribute of Exodus 34 and Jeremiah love, and a part of Alahym's Ruach is long suffering. If you do not have that, then you do not dwell in love. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. You can take it how you want. So if you're not a kind individual, then the love of Alahym is not in you. The next thing is that it does not vaunt itself, it is not puffed up, there is no pride. So the love of Alahym manifests humility. If there's no level of humility in your heart, the love of Alahym is not existent. And again, feast days, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Nigga, if these people been keeping Saturnalia, they gonna keep keeping it. Ain't nothing you gonna say gonna change it. Them niggas went to their people house and got that turkey and dressing, and what nothing you was gonna do was gonna stop them. Like all of a sudden you made a post and said, well, you know what? That's that's not our culture. I ain't going. Them niggas going, cuz. But if you have been manifesting the love of Alahym all year long, and maybe even on that day, and express to them, hey man, that's not really our custom. They might have considered. But instead you're a douchebag. Let's continue. He said they do not behave themselves unseemly. That means you don't conduct yourself in a gross fashion. Seek her own. If you're selfish, the love of Alahym ain't in you. If it's always about you and what you want, it ain't right. Man said he did not come to serve, but to serve, but to serve. He told you when he washed his feet that you ought to wash one, and blessed are you if you do this. See, we don't have that conversation. That's too tight for the minds of the people. Because that's the love of you show no love of Alahym because you keep no Sabbath. You be a bastard Jew and your heart is filled with filth. You ain't no different than the scribes and Pharisees that you want to throw that off on other people. Because they did the things that were easy to do. But the manifestation of the character of Alahym, which actually takes desire, they didn't want to do. And neither do we. You know what I'm saying? We like to say, oh man, that boy scribe and a Pharisee. But yet, you think it's the doctrine that you believe in that make you better? Oh, you're evil, boy. Your faith is trash. And then it says that love is not easily provoked and thinks no evil. So nobody can easily just make you snap. Do you know how long it took for Yahuwah to flood the earth? You know how long it took Yahusha before he started going upside these people's head? I heard a nigga say that day, I guess some bruise got in a fight, swung on the board, anything to justify you're evil bastard. I ain't gonna be swinging on no nigga in the street out no nothing. I could have stayed selling dope for that. Then the book tell you that somebody who teach the word ain't supposed to be no brawler, no striker anyway. What do you see how y'all around there throwing hands with people or even looking at the hands? Love Alahym ain't in you, but you're not looking to win souls because it ain't right. Genesis 35. What's wrong with these niggas, man? What's wrong with these niggas, man? And that wasn't there. And it's okay. But you can't suppress it. Young lady by the day, she's like, you know, you can be triggered, it can come out. Maybe and that only happens, you only get be triggered by something that you don't know bothers you because you triggered by it. It's because you've allowed that event or that person to have power over you. And as the you serve. But see, I thank the Lord because I was taught that as a kid to not let anyone have. Several OGs around my neighborhood told me, you don't never give your power away to another person. You don't give your power away to situation and circumstance. Whether righteousness unto life or sin unto death. Building your servant, your member's service over sin unto death because you're dwelling in fear. Which means you're not dwelling in faith. Faith. And you got to see some verse 4. That's why the great Alahym, who was in travail and in pain, was saved in childbearing because of the faith that he possessed. 100% accuracy that you can attest that if you directed your energy to that, you began to serve that. And see, when I say serve that, I'm not talking about you bowing down, worshiping it, and singing praises to it. It means you allowed your actions and your thought pattern to be dictated by the pain of that situation. So therefore, if anything came up in that regard to that situation, it could send you in a downward spiral where you begin to serve that. And it was anything that has powers because we give our power to it. And of its own. Yahuwah has no one gives Yahuwah power. Yahuwah is the give it our attention. If you starve it from attention, stop giving it attention and a response. He told you in Genesis chapter 4, if you do good, you'll be accepted. But if not, sin lie at the door, and your desire will be to that. No sin can have any power over you if you don't give it power over you unless you feed. Now, I'm not saying the starvation process is going to be easy and without pain. By no means am I saying that. But if you want your power back, you got to take your power back. You got to take it back. See, the hallmark of strength is not your ability to ignore and suppress and say, I'm straight. See, divinity need to be shot. Then I can't even say it's extended because it's just been doing this everywhere we're going. But strength don't come from suppressing and repressing and act like stuff didn't happen and ignoring and all that stuff. It comes from facing it, understand. It's like facing a bully. Most of us have events or people who are emotional bullies, and you're allowing those emotions to bully you. So I'm saying most of y'all know how different than anything that you give your power to. It's really scary. Power that you're giving by entertaining him. Stop. And what he tells you, resist him, he'll flee from you. Stand up to him, he'll dip because he's a coward. We cower from the confrontation and run from it. Too scared to face it. Instead of just looking it in the eyes and saying, you know what? This wasn't as bad as I thought it was. This was the easy thing to defeat. I was scared to stand up to the bully. All you got to do is stand up to the bully. Bullies are cowards. There are a few bullies on this earth that really are crazy. Most are cowards. Most bullies don't want direct confrontation. They're too fearful of it because they'll be exposed for the weak, insecure person that they are. And a lot of the things that we allow to have power over us is really abuse. That's a different matter. You got to take that, put that somewhere else. That's a different. Yeah, you can knock that out. Definitely, childhood abuse is a different. That's a different conversation. Genesis 35 and 16. And they journeyed from Bethel, and there was but a little way to come to Ephrath, and Rachel travailed, and she had hard labor. Give me a moment. Y'all know what Rachel. Put it in the chat for me one time. Somebody tell me what Rachel means. Don't nobody know what Rachel means? Y'all gonna do me like that? They gonna do me like that. Of course, you know you spell it with a Raj, Kot, and Lamad. So you see how you'd be separated by the son of the highest. And of course, it's your Lord for both travail and hard labor. And Dalit. So we see how the work of the shepherd was to be sacrificed. And kasha is the word for hard in regards, of being severe. So that is kuf, san, and hey. And see how I don't know the clutch for me. I knew if ain't nobody else was gonna come through in the clutch. Give me a second. I want to see all of them. Forget that it means lamb. I thank the Lord. We here. So I want to say son at the rising dawn, warm back of the head, final least. See that Yahushua was the least, and that's why he was consumed. Why do I say the least? Stinking rotten. Oh, face monkey dog boy. I say he's the least because he was deemed to be that Rosh Kot and Lamad. And you see that you're separated to the son of the highest. And then I swipe that off a tad bit too soon. Confused me for that doggone thing just racking my nerves. So you see that you separated by the son of the highest, by the lamb. The lamb has separated you. If you had, she was in hard labor, the midwife said under her fear. Pause. So now I want y'all to think for a moment. I'll give you a moment to answer this question. It says that the midwife, for her not to fear that she would have this son also. Does anyone answer that for me? It's pretty easy. What does the midwife represent? Who can tell me who the midwife represents in the gospel? Anybody can tell me who the midwife represents? I thank the Lord. Anybody? Somebody ought to roll the dice. Y'all smart people. Y'all got some good understanding, don't it? The question is that she will have this son or comforter in this instance, not the Ruach in this instance. You have a literal person comforting Rachel. So what now? Oh, no. Not on that one. They didn't tell him to fear not. Fear. What is she doing for Rachel? Doing for her. And we just read it Wednesday too. Oh, dear. And we just read it Wednesday. Not in this context, but we did just read it Wednesday. Because what happens with Rachel and happens to Rachel? No, going too deep with it. It's very simple, and y'all gonna see that it's very, very simple. But to bring forth the seed, I'll give you that, but that's because that's a part of her job. In that regard, she's not the father, if you would, but she is at the same time. I want you to look at it in this regard, because she's also Yahusha here. Come over here to Luke 23. Yeah, definitely Alahym in that. Jeez. They said they mad about that turkey. Let me go ahead and stab this nigga. He's playing with my food. Luke 22, not 23. Luke 22. So remember, we talked about this on Wednesday about her having Yahusha going through hard labor. Want to the Mount of Olives, his disciples also followed him. And when he was at the place, he said unto them, pray that you enter not into temptation. He was withdrawn from them about a stone's cast, kneeled down and prayed, saying, Abba, if you be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done. And there appeared a Malachim unto him from Shamahim, strengthening him. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly and found them sleeping for sorrow. So in this regard, the midwife played the role to give birth. Does that make sense? Is that clear for you? Like, that's not going to make it stop doing it. It's not. It's definitely not. Unless that junk just don't stop it. If that is clear for you, that the midwife is playing the role of Alahym in Luke 22, just go ahead, just put a 7 in that chat, please. If that's clear for you. If it's not clear for you, then just go ahead and put a 1 in there for me, so we can try to make sure that's clear for you. If you don't say anything, I take it in disrespect, as if I just said that just to say it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So when you see that and you look at that, that's why the Malachim is playing the role of the midwife unto the lamb, or unto Rachel. But also you see that he'll do the same thing. That he has to experience who this is. This is where you know that he is the one who the Father sent, and that he loved his seed enough to die while giving birth to it. As Yahusha loved his seed, pause, and the seed is the word of Alahym. And you must be born of the seed, or born of the word, or born of Alahym. And everyone who is born of Alahym manifests the love of Alahym. And of course, we read that in 1 Corinthians 13, tonight, that we Isaiah 59 and 19. Well, we've been on about 3 different Wi-Fi with this junk, man. That's that junk, just YouTube studio, his laptop, the internet providers. But considering that the internet providers have not done that previously, then this is what that is. And the only other thing, I just can't attribute to that. My conscience won't allow me to do that. And that's just contributing that to the adversary. I just feel that's the cheap way out. I really just feel like I might have to just download a streaming encoder on here, YouTube Studio, stand it against him. And the Redeemer shall come to Zion. Unto them that turn from transgression, and Jacob, saith Yahuwah, as for me, this is my covenant with them, saith Yahuwah. My ruach that is upon you, and my words which I have put in your mouth shall not depart out of the mouth of your mouth, nor out of the mouth of your seed, nor out of the mouth of your seed's seed, saith Yahuwah, from henceforth and forever. Now, let's learn. Because he's out of the mouths of many, but seeds of that seed being Mashiach. Because in Isaac shall your seed be called. Nevertheless, 35 and 17 of the book of Genesis. And it came to pass, when she was in hard labor, the midwife said unto her, fear not, you shall have this son also. It came to pass, as her soul was in departing, for she died. He called his name Benoni, but his father named him, or called him Benjamin. So, of course, when we look at departing, you have Yatsah, and that is to go forth. You know that death is loose. If you didn't know, you know now. And she called him the son of her sorrow. Otherwise, again, it's all that important because the great Alahym that formed was in travail and in pain and in sorrow. So when he was on the stake, he would have been versus on the app. We're already here. So why not? Isaiah 53 and 1. Bring forth conception and sorrow, because if she had hard labor, how he said he was exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. I like my put up there, right? Same time, just depending on what avenue of the story you're looking at and the point that's being manifested. The reason why her name is the Lamb, 26, your dead shall live with my dead body. All of this bearing witness to the Son of Joyce. And again, it's him going through the experience of childbirth, that he be saved in childbearing because of his faith, his love, his sanctification, and his self-control. Now, now this is for the women. So it's just a woman to emulate her Redeemer, which is emulate Mashiach, to emulate and understand that he can be that aid and a relief to you during childbearing because he experienced it as well. So therefore, you have a kinship and oneness with your Alahym, because he would not be that far from you in that instance, along with your husband being there to be a care and a comfort for you in the midst of your travail. You understand? See, that's a part of it too. You can't forget the natural side. On the natural side, the man's supposed to be there to give care and comfort to her the same way that Alahym gives care and comfort when you're in travail, whether it's childbearing or not. It's all in that like, I'm the man, she the woman, screw her. You're not operating in the mindset of Alahym. How do you expect to be delivered? How do you expect to look him in the face and tell him that the love and mercy of the living Alahym existed in you, when the first place that it's supposed to be manifested is in your household? You don't have the mind of Alahym, you can't be a pastor. That's what he was telling you. You can't do it. You can't do it. It's impossible. Because ruling the house is not just do what I say, but the key component of when you see him manifest his be righteous. When he let it be known what his character traits were, he did not mention anything with goodness and truth and long suffering. They will honor and reverence and respect you, serve you. Remember, this is what the wise men told Jeroboam, stupid behind. That's what he told them. He said, these people be your servants forever. And he listened to his homeboys and said, I'm going to rule over them. They will only do things because they feel like they're compelled to, not because they desire to. You don't want people to serve you because they feel like they have to. You want them to have the desire to do it, because then they're going to delight to do it. And that's more beneficial to you. Now, on the flip side, them that have rule over you either, because that's not profitable for you. So you don't want to do that either. It's just not one-sided. If the person has rule over you and they're directing you and guiding you and operating properly in their vocation, and they're all leaving them and stressing them out about your selfish desires and idiotic machination thing towards you with delight, and that's not beneficial for you. To whom is the arm of Yahuwah revealed? For he shall grow up from before him as a tender plant and as a root stinking slut maggot. For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant and as a root out of a dry ground, for he have no form or comeliness. Acquainted with grief, and we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he had borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of Alahym, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised, his sorrows carried yours. Again, this is the point of the man is supposed to carry the sorrows of the woman. The woman can't carry her sorrows. She's not strong enough to bear them. There wasn't a woman out there bearing that stake. There was a man out there. Woman ain't carrying that. She's going to buckle under the weight. Her body, look at a woman's body. Unless she's obese, looking like a middle linebacker or a defensive tackle, they are petite creatures. They're small creatures. They're not meant to hear that. You could just sit back and look at their upper body because they're not supposed to be carrying heavy weight. The first time when we look at sorrows, it's cold. And of course, that's pain and that's sorrow. That's grief, the same thing. Pain. He carried your pain. He carried your pain. Now, of course, we looked at it again. When you look at men who carries your pain, you've seen that there. The Alahym, because they're ministers to heirs of salvation, and your breath. If you look for her to carry that, you're going to be disappointed. Because she's not going to be able to do it. She doesn't know how to do that. Not with a man. She'll love you like you love. She loves her seed, your seed, excuse me, because she carried that baby in her womb for grow in her uterus. She did not push you out of her womb. See, they tell us, get you a woman who loves you like your mama. Come on, look at her sons and her daughters. There's a difference. Why do I say that? Because we come forth from a Mashiach. That's why he can look at you with the sternness and the guidance of a father and the compassion and the nurturing of a mother. Because you were born of him. That's why the love of Alahym is always greater. We're able to see his love manifested on this physical plane. Physical plane that everyone may look and see and declare as a truth that the living Alahym dwells inside of you and that he is the creator of heaven and earth and rules among selfishness to be able to do that. Genesis 35. Genesis 35 and 18. And it came to pass as her soul was in departure, for she died, that she called his name Benoni, but it's called him Benjamin, which is the son of my right hand, as you already know. So Jacob, when he was on the stage, Yahusha was what she called Benjamin at the first. He was the son of my sorrow, as you just seen in Isaiah 53, as we kind of talked about on Wednesday. He renamed him. He renamed him. Why is he renaming him? He has went through the sorrow and the pain of redeeming the people. There, he goes to sit back at the right hand of his father. Let's come to Psalms 110. Do I really want to read Psalms 10? Psalms 110 say, under my Lord, sit right here at my footstool, at my right hand, till I make your enemies your footstool. We could read Matthew 22. 22 and 41. Again, I appreciate your patience. Praise the name of Yahusha, man, for your patience. I know that's not aggravating. And Ruach called him Lord, saying, Yahuwah said unto my Lord, sit you at my right hand till I make your enemy had to die in sorrow. You know what they're getting paid. And it just is what it is. It's really not my concern. It's not my concern because prayerfully it's not any of your concern. I just don't, it's just not ringing in my spirit to just deal with the consequences of the unrighteous. But more for us to understand that the same way that he was saved in childbirth, that he will save you if you continue to be able to say before they leave this earth. That they partook in the righteousness of Alahym by becoming one with his Ruach HaKadosh, and therefore waiting patiently for the resurrection of the dead, whether they wake or whether they sleep. They worry about this and worry about that you're not in good standing in heaven. I'm talking people who say they believe the word. Bump weirdos. You know what I'm saying? Who don't. See, if you don't believe in Yahuwah, as far as I'm concerned, you're a weirdo. Something wrong with you. You're stupid. You hate yourself because you don't want to be free. Oh, but you want to do what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? You hate rule and authority. Well, none of these wicked people say, "Oh, ancestors, save me." When things go down, don't nobody call on the universe or the source. Nigga, calling on Yahuwah. I don't care if they call him Jesus or not. They calling on Yahuwah when they get real. The ISIS, when they get real out here, they want to call his name now. That's why I say I want to spit in their face. Because they talk all that trash, but then when the stuff goes down, they want to call on his name. They want to call on his name when they get real. Most people like, hey, his name ain't Jesus. You know who they calling on, you stupid bastard. Stop being a douchebag. You know who they calling on. You know who they think about in their heart. They want the great Alahym to come through in the flesh. Oh, you don't remember what you said about him? Oh, remember, he wasn't real. Remember, his way was oppressive. Now you want him to take care of nobody and pay no bill. See, no, baby, you wanted equality. You didn't want men to have rule and authority. Baby. Live with it. You out here on your own. That's what Yahuwah tell you to do. You out here on your own, baby. You want to be equal to me? In power, no rules, because you don't have to be subject to anyone. But when the trouble comes, you want the authority figure who will not rise up on your behalf. He will sit there and he will laugh at you when your calamity comes, and he will mock you when your fear comes. But see, we don't want to hear that, because that's just not right. Oh, I wouldn't want to serve no God to do that. That's why you're going to hell now. You ain't doing nothing but getting your reward. Use a simpleton. I see that as a just weight and balance. I have no issue. I have no issue at all. I think the Lord understanding, because stuff that bother most don't bother me. I know why you would do what he do. I tip my cat and I salute him. He is worthy of all esteem and honor and praise. Let his name be magnified throughout the earth. And if you got a problem with his way, screw you and the vagina you came out of. You know what I'm saying? See, people, you can't say stuff like lying to me. You're lying to me. I don't think you read anybody in this book held their tongue when somebody came through disrespecting you. I don't think you seen nobody do that ever. He was crazy. Man, where I was at? I remember where I was. It's all good. Oh, son of my right hand. John chapter 7, everybody. Read Matthew 22. I know. John chapter 7. None of us would know each other if it wasn't for the living Alahym. Except for, say, some of you, because some of you knew each other before that. So I can't say that for everyone. Because I definitely knew Little Muffin before that. And I definitely knew my mother before that. So I know some of you were childhood friends, or at least went to school with one another. But for the most part, as a conglomerate, if you will, an organization, an assembly, a body, a congregation, we would know each other. We only know each other because of Alahym. Some of you only in the word because someone you knew found out of the living Alahym. So, but again, that goes back to that's Yahuwah's doing. That's Yahuwah's doing. You wonder why you got severed from people you got severed from, and ways you wanted to walk in, you got turned around in a different direction. That was Yahuwah's doing to get you to this point where you could say, you know what? In the name of Yahushua, and let that come upon me that I might live. You're the part of life that we be forgetting about. That everything to do is either to draw you to him or to draw you away from him. If he's drawing you to him, it's because you were ordained to be saved. If he's pushing you away, it's because you ought to go to hell. You were fit for it. You're the vessel fitted for destruction, that his power might be made known. Or you're a vessel fitted for mercy, that his goodness might be made known. That's all his doing. You remember what Amos tell you, the thought of a man's heart comes from the direct way you're going. See, at the end of the day, that's all about. Because when it's Yahuwah's will, you was going to get to him one way or another. If it wasn't going to be by this vessel, it was going to be by another. But If your name was already set to be saved from the foundation of the world, you were gonna get there regardless. You was going to basical and your praise and worship and honor. Like you really have to sit back sometime and pause and think about that. Indeed, amen. Especially this time of year, Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. You know what I'm saying? And don't take this as this is any disrespect, but you know that they're lost, and you could be right with them, stewing in death and not even knowing it. And not even knowing it. This ain't no instance of like you turn your nose up at people, but it's for you to sit back and look at of all the people whom he saw fit for me to understand and know him. But why did he see fit to do that? Remember, you already know that the story, the script has had realized that the story had already been told. And you made choices, but those choices were set up to get you to the point to come to him when you needed to come. Because if you didn't, you wouldn't have. So yeah, we go through a little pain for stubbornness and so that my sins can be now. Because remember, he said you've been chosen from the beginning through sanctification of the Ruach and belief. You were chosen from the beginning. It was nothing that you done. It was nothing that you would do. It was all in the goodness and mercy of the living Alahym. Rachel was already chosen to be Jacob's wife and to give birth. She gave birth to the two sons that were a very strong witness to the goodness and grace that was to come. See, of course, I say, man, you know, many brews, they sound like Christians, this, that, and the third. I bet you won't come. I'll embarrass you. He's going to embarrass you. Because when the word slap you upside your head like a bag of bricks, you're gonna feel like a damn fool. Same way how some brews like to mock and pick at certain Hebrew congregations that like to do. How dare I open my mouth and tell somebody that they should not sing to Alahym and that they delight to do it and look forward to doing it. Do you know what type of miserable individual you got to be to mock and deride somebody or castigate it in their heart? Who am I to mock them for that? What you do? It's a beautiful thing to see. You know what I'm saying? Why did I say that? Because some people be like, man, you don't show mercy like you would do. Yeah, bro. That's what we own. We're not changing that. You want to call that Christian, so be it. So that Alahym gonna do what he said he gonna do. And that he loves to give the reverence and honor unto him that is due, that they know that their works are pleasing to him, therefore that he would be pleased with them and receive them. See, most of us have forgotten that aspect of doing things to want to see your parents, specifically your father if he was present, for him to be pleased with you. Or maybe it was your grandfather, if your father wasn't present and your grandfather stood in that gap, that you would want him to be pleased with your works. And you didn't do stuff because you feared he was going to whoop you, because it made your heart good when he looked at your works, he was pleased. Well, the word tell you the same thing. We should never be ashamed that we love Alahym, and we should dare not be ashamed to continually convey and express that to whoever may want to hear it. Why should be ashamed of that? Why are we scared of that? Because you worry about what some cornball niggas got to say? Because you worry about being called a Christian? Man, bump them niggas, man. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, man, bump them niggas, man. That ain't no different. You shouldn't be loved. You shouldn't feel ashamed to say, oh, I reverence my husband. I respect my husband. I love my husband. You shouldn't be ashamed to do that, because if you profess to say you serve the living Alahym, then you will be confessing that. Why is you ashamed of that? Because you worry about what another nigga got to say? If your wife put in the work and she deserves it, nothing wrong with it at all. You shouldn't be ashamed to say, yeah, I submit to my husband. I love my husband. What you mean? I respect him. He's a man of honor. He's due respect. Why wouldn't I? Ain't nothing wrong with it. Like that junk backwards. We backwards because you're about with somebody who don't have this nigga at home playing with himself. He got empty relationship, sexual, or whatever the case may be, got going on. He ain't got a woman who love it. So therefore, yeah, my woman, I love my wife, man. These people don't have Alahym. That's why they mock you for it. They wish they knew him. They wish he was a part of. Don't fall for the bait, baby. John 7:28. You got to understand the games people play, man. People are miserable out here, man. Let's see how long I last. Okay. Trying to see how long you last? Oh, your phone locked. Oh, you did that thing that say you can do, huh? Yeah, you want your phone to talk. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, when people don't have the love of Alahym, man, that's all that. Don't let them take your joy. Don't let them do it. John said, "No, not. I know him, for I am from him, and he hath sent me." Then they sought to take him, but no man laid hold on him because his hour was not yet come. Remember, we talked about the other day about pay attention to that hour. It had to be a period of the sacrifice. And many of the people believed on him and said, when Mashiach come, will he do more miracles than these, which this man have done? The Pharisees things concerning him, and the Pharisees and the chief priests sent officers to take him. Then said Yahushua unto them, yet a little while I am with you. Then I go unto him that sent me. You shall seek me and shall not find me, and where I am, you cannot come. When he tells them this to go to the place where they cannot come, that's when he becomes Benjamin. When it's time for him to die, he's Benoni. He's the son of my sorrow. He doesn't become Benjamin until he sins into heaven. The other aspect of that is when he gave up the Ruach, that's the aspect of him being Rachel and giving birth to his sorrows, if you will. But let's continue. Hand, because we've dealt with that before. It would be exhausting that. It would be exhausting that. We don't need to do that. Proverbs 25 and 25. But this we will do. Proverbs 25 and 25. As cold waters to a thirsty soul, so is good news from a cave. So when we look at Yah, in this instance, this will be one of the rare instances with Yah that we will go ahead and throw right go back to what we were talking about earlier. Your man is able to do that effectively enough to give you strength. See, that also takes us back to the midwife occurred in Rachel, back to the Malachim, then in Mashiach. Because Satan has desired to have you and sift you as wheat. But when you are converted, strengthen your brethren. Well, you can only strengthen someone with the word. Well, the woman or that virtuous woman is the word. That's the only thing that can make you strong. Nothing else can make you strong. You can be strong lifting weights. You can be even strong mentally on a natural sense. But the ability of Alahym for those who profess to be the servants of Alahym. Again, key point, profess to be the servants of Alahym. That is the key point. Profess to be the servants of Alahym. If you do not profess to be a servant or strength, you can only seek strength from the word. And that's why I mentioned that before. Of course, we mentioned that a long time ago, of that Yahuwah is your rock ourselves upon. Is not firm enough to do so. Because whether women like to hear it or not, she got to get the word of Alahym from you. When I say you, I'm talking about men. Whether it's her father, what about Deborah and the prophetesses? That doesn't mean that they have the word. Deborah was a prophet. She still had to get the word from somebody. Just because you're a prophet don't mean you had a word. Miriam was a prophet. She still had to get the word from Moses. Because who gave the word to Moses? Alahym did. Miriam ain't had no word. Having a vision and having the word is two different things. And it's amazing to me how so many people read the text and can't make the difference between the two. That doesn't make the At that point, what's the point? At that point, you don't need a husband. If I'm gonna come over, if Alahym himself gonna come over here and teach it to you, then what you need a husband for? That makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense. That means that that man and woman would be equal. And absolutely nothing. There are people, there's ugly people on the earth. They're not equal to someone who is beautiful. And some people feel like an ugly person and a beautiful person should be valued the same. Why do you believe that? Why do you believe that? Discipline. How are you equal? You can't control what you put in your mouth. You don't have the drive. See, never say what you deserve. You don't deserve anything. You deserve what you worked for. If you haven't put in the work for anything, you don't deserve anything. You don't deserve something for existing. If you haven't put in the work and you haven't earned it, you don't deserve it. Outside of that, well, you get what you earn, man. If you ain't put in the work, you don't deserve nothing. A woman doesn't deserve a man's provision and protection for the simple fact that she's a woman. She deserves his provision and protection because she has put in the work to show that she is a woman worthy of that. A man is not on a woman's submission. She must submit to this man or she will not be with this man. Notice that it didn't say to be a man that's worthy for her, that he is a man that whom she must submit to because he's put in the work to show himself as that. So therefore, if she ain't, she either gonna submit to him or she's not. You either gonna get down or you're gonna get out the way. But he doesn't deserve that. He had to put in the work. You don't deserve his salvation because you're an Israelite. You think you deserve that? For what? And that's why I mentioned the things that preceded that. That's why people in the state that we feel like we deserve things. So we don't treat that man word as cold water to a thirsty soul. Because of course, you know, the news here is Shamua, a word that y'all should be familiar with, from a far country. What is that regarding to? You know, because it's probably what we end with. I'll probably just take over and grab verse 26, y'all willing on tomorrow. This is victory or everlasting life. Remember Matthew chapter 5, he tell you, he that thirsts and hungers for righteousness shall be filled. He also told you to he also told you in the book of Revelations to come you to the waters and drink. See, most of y'all know a nice cold beverage do to you when you're thirsty. And he said the good news coming from a far country is akin to that. Is akin to that. I want you to pause. It goes back to the statement of what I mentioned earlier, excuse me, not reference, about us always constantly and consistently preaching, teaching, and exalting the love, goodness, mercy, and grace of Alahym with no shame or regard to the thoughts of others. Because our mercy and grace that they have bestowed upon us, of which we did not. You know what I'm saying? And it all. That's why I've always stated and will continue to state that we are not changing, I forbid, and that we will continue to do that. And I want y'all to, this is a serious thing, need to look at someone with a look of consternation. That's not the problem. A look of suspicion is a better word. A look of suspicion word of anybody who has a problem with people who desire to exalt and extol Alahym of Samahim and preaching of his son. Weirdos. not right. It's not normal. Because the people in this text had no problem continually exalting this man. David ordained priests for the specific purpose of worshiping this man through song. For the explicit purpose. The explicit purpose. I'm gonna speak for myself. I don't know what it is that I do, but I don't look down at anybody who do. And why we here? But that's just me because that's just what I do. You know what I'm saying? Like when dang this time. Like when Paul said he didn't send me to baptize, he sent me to preach the gospel. You know what I'm saying? I can relate to that. Like I'm not the praise and worship leader. It's not what I do. If you remember the course, but my occupation, that's what I do. But I don't knock nobody who does, and neither should you. We're gonna start right here, man, because this junk just keep doing all this here, man. It ain't gonna do nothing but continually frustrate me and not be able to allow me to focus on this last back end point that I need to focus on. But truth be told, I should have waited till on tomorrow you were willing to introduce it anyway. So blessed be the living Alahym. Hallelujah for Yahusha and his prayer. Just weigh and consider how the great Alahym formed all things, and that how he dealt with that before. So we be kind of being redundant. In the midst of sorrow is the midst of rulership. In the midst of being born in sorrow, you can be born to sit down and rule with Alahym. That's the thing that you have to consider. As you will become the sons of Alahym and reign with him. This is what he has promised us. This is what is on the table. As Paul regularly stated, don't be ashamed of the gospel of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. To men, women, and women to men. It was all regards, and it's always going to be in regards to how we relate from Yasharah to Alahym to Yasharah. That is the point. And that if we can see, if we catch ourselves and say, dang, am I behaving like this to my old lady? Am I behaving like this to my husband? This is how I'm looking at Yahuwah? Do I view Yahuwah in the same? We had that conversation. Not on camera, but standard with the job. Providing does not make you valuable. This is part of your job description. You know what I'm saying? So how useful are you to this woman? Like a woman say that those things don't count because anyone can do them. I say that because anyone can do them. That's like a manual labor job. You could be replaced. Anyone can do it. All of y'all, whether you own your own business, some of you have a skill that is better than others. Therefore, the value that you add, because see, like business is about solving problems and adding value. And that's why a lot of people businesses suck because you don't add any value. They work. Everything in life, again, value is your usefulness. And if you don't have any usefulness, then no one is going to look at you in a high esteem. That takes us back to what was written about. You have vessels under honor and vessels under dishonor, and those who purge themselves are useful. And you have value to him, where you are useful to him. He has already manifested his value to you. He's remitted your sins. He's remitted your sins. He's destroyed death and given you access to the Ruach HaKodesh. That's just mentioning three things. There's much more value that Alahym adds that. But we'll just deal with those three things. But then we have to look at what value do you add to him to where you're useful to him. Being useful to him is not, oh, I know all these precepts. I can do this. No, 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 no. You have to purge yourself from the things that are uncouth and not meet before his eyesight. And then he was at a place for you to see how useful you are to him. So you have to sit back and look at that. Like, people who move up in company, seeking out how we can add value. See, that goes back to what I was talking about when I asked you about being a man of wisdom. If you have wisdom, it means you have the ability to add value. Like, people see, now the word is a little different, because the word, most people are not going to seek that value. They're not going to seek that value because they know that most of the time you're not going to tell them what they want to hear. There's only a handful of people who are really going to appreciate the value that you actually possess. And when you're dealing with, going to seek that, I want that value because they don't deem it to be useful. Remember, value is all about how useful you are to other people. See, again, that goes back to the conversation I told you about many times. And don't want to deal with people, you can never be valuable to other people. And therefore, when you find yourselves in jams, you won't have anyone to call on. The word tells us to never isolate ourselves. Never to isolate yourself. That makes absolutely better than one, does it not? Say, if he fall, who's gonna pick him up? And there's always things for us to consider, to look at how we serve our Alahym, and then of course how we serve each other. Always house Alahym in the name of Yahushua. I appreciate your time. You who are willing, we pick it up on tomorrow, make it do what it do. Y'all willing. Maybe it won't buffer as much tomorrow, but only Yahuwah knows. Until that time. I'm gonna say another thing.